Welcome to Small Town Snarks. I'm Joel.
And I'm Miranda. Let's get snarky.
Look. It's the lesbians from next door.
And Mendel.
We're back.
We're back. Welcome to Falsetto Land.
Surprise. We just jumped like 27 shows.
We did. Why did we do that, Joel?
That's a really great question,
Tell
Miranda.
the
I'm
people.
so glad you asked. So, we thought it would be a great idea to get some of our friends together to discuss falsettos.
Yes.
And to discuss the show. And to tell all of our wonderful listeners as to why they should be coming to see this show. Because it's an incredible one. And I'm
Agreed.
super excited. But before we get into this discussion with our invited guests, I wanted to talk to you for a moment.
Me?
You and I. Just a quick chit-chat.
What could we possibly have to talk about?
I had a really important question for you.
Okay.
Why did you want to do falsettos?
That's a great question. And I think the main reason is I love how intricate the cast dynamics are and the character dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a treat every time you get to work with a small cast. But especially, tackling some of these important topics together and navigating relationships. Part of what I adore about this show is the blended family aspect and how when things really matter, everyone is able to shift their focus to that thing that matters, regardless of all the drama around it. And yeah, that was a main reason, and I've just loved getting to explore that with this group of people.
Incredible group of people.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because some of them are seated right next to me.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll
Yeah.
talk later and
Yeah.
share our true feelings.
Exactly. Yeah, that'll be the real. Tune in 27 shows when we get to falsetto. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
what about you, Joel?
I love this show so much, but I have a lot of really big feelings about it.
You always have big feelings.
I do.
To establish this.
It's just canon at this point. I have all the big feelings, but for this show in particular, and what I just love about theater in general, in my mind, good theater is theater that makes you feel something, and it's also theater that has something to say. And I've said this many times on the podcast that, I love a good Mamma Mia. I love, a splashy musical that's just fun and you're there for a good time. But in my mind, theater is at its best when it's helping to have a conversation or it's encouraging you to think. And the thing that I love about falsettos, one of the many things that I love, is that this show in particular, it's relevant. It was relevant when it was written, and to this day, it's still incredibly relevant. There's still so much that an audience member can take from this story. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it has some of the best characters written for musical theater. I mean, there's not a weak moment in this show. It just hits, it's very impactful, and I mean, I saw it live for the first time. I mean, I was with you the first time I saw it live.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so incredibly well done. The revival on Broadway was so incredibly well done. And I just felt, from a dramatic standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint, it just is one of those shows that I felt very moved by, and it was something that I wanted to have the chance to explore. So I'm very grateful, like you said, to be having this opportunity to tell this story with you and I coming together with a creative vision, working with such a great group of people to tell the story. It's just, couldn't ask for anything more. So super happy about it.
What would be the point?
Exactly.
You ain't getting
What would be the point? That's kind of my big thought, but I'd love to kind of jump in with our invited guests.
Yeah,
and
we
get
have
their-
special guests.
We do.
Listeners.
We do. So why don't we start with our good friend across the table from me. Why don't you introduce yourself and what role you play in falsettos?
Sure. My name is Katie Ketter, and I play Dr. Charlotte.
Yes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Dr. Charlotte, or about yourself and your time here with Small Town Stars?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit of that.
I think the funniest thing about this role for me, it's the second time playing a Tracy Thoms lesbian. It is, yeah, because I also played Joanne in Rent when we did Rent. This is am I allowed to say that it's an alumni show?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
absolutely, of course. Yeah.
So it is an alumni show, meaning that you had to have done X amount of shows with the company in order to even be able to audition. And when we did our table read, I was like, I kind of feel like an imposter. Like, and I've done, 9 shows with the company or something like that. And it always just, as much as it feels like home, I still sometimes don't. I have a little bit of an imposter syndrome. But my first show was with you as your directorial debut of Bright Star, which was crazy. And then Rent and Sweeney Todd and Matilda, which I got to do with my son, which was incredible. American Idiot, which was my dream role as Saint Jimmy. Pippin. We just did Into the Woods, and now I'm here. I don't think I missed anything, did I?
I don't.
Did you say Sweeney Todd?
So.
Sweeney Todd, yes, but
And your kiddo also had a cameo in Sweeney Todd, but
He
very
did.
brief. Yeah.
he
But
did.
memorable.
Yeah.
He did. I got to do that with him. I got to do Into the Woods with him as well.
Did you say Rent?
I did say
Yes.
Rent. Yeah.
You were in Rent, right?
I did Rent. Actually, I played the Tracy Thoms character in Rent, which is ironic because I play the Tracy Thoms character now
In Falsettos?
It's a
Isn't that-
specific typecasting.
Yeah.
is.
It really is, because I'm a white girl. But it is kind of funny too, because I have gotten cast as either a female playing a male role, or we transposed a male role into a female role, or it's a male that's typically a role that's typically played by a male as a female. So I kind of win the Alphabet Mafia award for Small Town Star.
Jack of all trades.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I love the comment that you made there about coming in for the read-through, and we'll talk about this. But being at that table and seeing all of you together in that moment and like reading through that script, it felt like it was something special that was just happening. And it's wild to hear you say that you had imposter syndrome in that situation, because it's like just such a group of talented individuals just going through this powerful show was just such a magical experience. So, well, welcome to the table, Katie.
Well, thank you, Joel Miranda.
And to your left, we have...
The other lesbian from next door. My name is Jordan Wheeler, and I'm playing Cordelia, who is the quirky neighbor caterer lesbian who's trying her very best at all times. I started with Small Town in 2023. SpongeBob was my first show, and that had been like my first drop back into theater since high school, which that all got cut short because of COVID. So I had last performed really like 2019 before SpongeBob. And now this is my 10th show with you guys, which is kind of cool that it's like an alumni production too, just nice little bow.
Yeah.
I was in SpongeBob, then Sweeney, which that role, I was Joanna, and I feel like that really like pushed me as a performer for a lot of reasons, good reasons. Avenue Q, that was its own beast that, you know, we all bonded over in the end, and it turned out really great, but it was a huge learning experience. American Idiot I did with you. Sweeney was our first show together, but American Idiot we also got to do together. Matilda we also did
That's
together.
Right.
Into
That's
the
right.
Woods we also did together.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
we've been in a bunch of shows together, but during my time here, I feel like I've definitely expanded my boundaries, and I've gone outside of my previously made box for myself as a performer, which has been really special and cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And to your left, we have a returning guest to the podcast.
right.
Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to tell us about Mendel a little bit?
Yeah, I'll tell you about Mendel. I think Mendel's really interesting because he's just, he does despicable stuff, especially in Act 1. But my hope is that by the end of the show, we'll see that he's grown and maybe is even maybe a little bit likable. That's my hope. Yeah, that's what I hope.
Fantastic.
I'm not going to recap all the shows because I think I may have done that already. Audience, but
You've got many credits with STS. Yes.
But I will say thanks again for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we'll just jump into some questions here if that works for you, Miranda.
It works for me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So we're going to make this just kind of a nice round table. I'd love to hear your all's thoughts on why you all wanted to be a part of this show. I mean, Miranda and I kind of described our feelings about Falsettos, but I'd love to hear, your background or understanding of the show and what kind of pushed you to want to audition.
Eric, I feel like you came in knowing, your whole entire part.
Maybe.
I feel like maybe you're the best person to kick off.
I mean, Falsettos was just a huge show for me. I saw the original Broadway run in the 90s. Didn't really know what to expect. I saw the little scene on the Tony Awards that year, and they did the baseball game, and that's what kind of made me think, okay, I want to see that. Plus, Chip Zien was in it, and I had seen him in Into the Woods, on the recording of Into the Woods, so I was excited about that as well. So I went and I saw it with a college friend, and I was just blown away by it, and it challenged what kind of society had taught me about homosexuality to that point. So it was like a big impact. I mean, how often do you see a show and you feel like you have changed after it? That's the kind of association that I have with this show. It was huge for me. So I took my friend group back to see it as soon as I could. And we actually, almost all of us went back and saw the revival when it came out in 2016 as well. Did I answer your question? I lost track of what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it was just how did you, or why did you want to become involved with Falsettos and how your history?
I adore the show so much. I adore the show, and I gravitated to the role of Mendel. That's the role that I had always wanted to play. But I would have been happy to be involved in any facet of this production.
Fantastic. You all have any feelings?
I mean, there's a lot of elements to this show. Obviously, I don't know how many spoilers we want to throw out there, but there's a lot of homosexuality and a lot of themes about that and a lot of themes about blended families. I think the thing that sometimes gets glossed over in this show is how Jewish it is. And that's something that's really important to me. Because when we think of Jewish in theater, we immediately think of Fiddler, right? And yes, that's one of those, you go to the theater and you see great dancing and everybody sings, everybody knows the songs and all that good stuff. And that's not who Jewish people are. And I think that as a Jewish mom, it's nice to see kind of a real, authentic, kind of culturally Jewish family being portrayed. There isn't a whole lot of we're going to temple or we're going to Shabbos or, high holiday. It's not about that, but this bar mitzvah is so important. And for a lot of American Jewish families, that is kind of the one big, hey, we're Jewish flag that we wave. And the fact that so much of the show centers around that feels very familiar. I really loved that aspect of it, and that it was much more of this is part of who we are, not this is our whole identity, but this is our identity. So, yeah.
I really like that you hit home on the point that there's so much happening in this show, and I feel like it's something that there's something in the show that everybody can relate to, and it kind of goes back to that statement that I made of theater when it's at its best is having conversations, and it's presenting topics that people can relate to, and it can open lines of communication and conversation, and I really love that that's a piece of it that is drawing to you, and it highlights those passions and things that are important to you, and that's what's so great about this show. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Jordan, any?
Super surface level, it's very well composed, and I'm a music nerd. Like, obviously I love Sondheim, I love difficult music, I love performing it and challenging myself with it, so I was really excited to try something new, like new composer. I don't think I've ever done any William Finn before, so that was super appealing to me. Also, I love a small cast, like what Miranda was talking about. Like, there's just something so special about getting so close with a small cast like that. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but you guys just bond so much more. So that part was really exciting. And then on a deeper level, like, I come from a non-traditional family, and it just warms my heart. Like, the story warms my heart to see, like, how much the dad wants to be involved, and it's like just very reminiscent, very sweet, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, like that you emphasize the small cast aspect of this show. I know one thing very early on, and I mean, Miranda, you can elaborate on this more too, but I know one of the first conversations Miranda and I had about doing the show was the fact that not only was this going to be a small cast, but it was going to need to be, no pun intended, but there will be one. It needs to be a tight-knit cast,
Yes.
We wanted to make sure that it was a group of people that trusted each other and were willing to, support each other while on stage and be very present when performing. And I think that's, really something that we were really focused on when casting the show, and as we've been going through this rehearsal process, giving everybody kind of that experience. So happy to hear that that's the case that's, being presented.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, we've done a couple shows that have had really big cast. Into the Woods was a huge cast.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast last summer was a big cast. And, when you have a big cast like that and you're around 20, 30 people for rehearsals and then during tech and on stage and stuff like that, the experience gets played out through the eyes of 30 people, and all 30 of those people are then presenting to the audience. And those 30 people off stage are talking to 5 or 10 people, and there's a lot of chatter. When it's a small cast like this, it's not a buffet style, right? This sort of show is a very intricately curated 9-course meal that only, like, the chefs know about. Okay? And as you lay it out, you see the culmination of this small team into a beautiful presentation, and it's taken small bite by small bite by small bite because it is 7 of us, and I think that there is a lot to be said about when it is so tight like that. Because you don't have a big ensemble to fall back on.
Right.
You don't have those other voices catching you if you don't remember the lines, or you're late for a cue or something like it has to be tight because it's so under a microscope.
Exactly.
Which
All
is
eyes are on you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
Oh, yeah.
really is,
Absolutely.
and in such a unique way. You don't get these opportunities a whole lot.
No.
It's true. Like, if you're working on your harmony, you better make sure you get it, because you might be the only one singing that.
You are the only one, yeah.
Something I wanted to add about just what I love about this show, especially I was introduced to the show when I was still a kid. So as a girl growing up and like falling in love with theater, there just weren't a lot of musicals that showcased like strong female role models or strong female roles at all. And I remember, learning about this show, but also seeing the revival and like just really resonating with Trina in particular, and I think it's interesting because, I wasn't married at that point, didn't have any kids, but I kind of latched onto her, and I think I'm Breaking Down is like a perfect example of how well this show is written, because yeah, it's a funny song, but how often do you see like female representation of women who like have to keep it together when everything is falling apart around them, and being able to express that? So I'd really latched on to that idea of like, here's this woman like trying to keep everything together and trying to, support her family, but this isn't how she wanted her life to be at all, and she's also dealing with that mentally. This show is really excellent, especially for when it was written, with navigating that, because in real life, if you were the spouse of someone who discovered that they were gay, and especially at that time, that would have been extremely difficult. There are a lot of feelings that come with that, and also the religious aspect of it too, and the religious pressure there was a whole nother thing. But even in Act 2, when you're introduced to the lesbians, just like one of them's a doctor, and it's not about, oh, can you, the plot isn't, can you believe this, gay woman is a doctor? It's just, she just is a doctor, and that's just the established fact. So I love that. And another just brief anecdote is, I remember when I was little, my parents had piano like songbooks of different musicals, and there were some that like I wasn't supposed to look at. And
Classic.
Falsettos was one of those, and one time when they weren't looking, I of course pulled it out and looked at it, and the first song has a swear word in it, so I remember seeing the first song and then being like, oh, and then it's just shutting it. But it's just really a treat that we get to work on this show together now and like explore those themes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, again, we've talked about this on previous episodes, but this conversation of, when is the right time to have these conversations, or, how can you have these conversations, or, the nice thing about musical theater is that it's in most cases, it's a very palatable way to have these conversations in a very natural way. There are moments in certain shows where it can be a little jarring, especially depending on the age of the person that you're trying to have this conversation with, or, even if it's someone who just may not be able to, or they might, not support the message or may not believe the message, musical theater has this way of just breaking through those barriers and having those conversations in such a palatable way that is just really powerful. So.
And there's a kid in the cast too.
Yeah.
And I think like that's another thing that I just adore about this show, is we get to see how the adults in this child's life navigate these conversations, and it could be a good starting point for people seeing the show to know how to, like, what to do and what not to do in some cases, right? But we've been having these very serious character conversations and plot-driven conversations around this child performer who's in the show, and he's brought some great insight that we don't have because we're all adults. So that's also been a treat.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny that you bring up the idea of kids in these very adult situations and how to handle that stuff. I mean, kids in real life are in these adult situations whether they like them or not. Right?
Exactly.
And they don't get to decide if their parents are divorced or who their parents fall in love with, and are they wonderful, are they supportive, are they abusive, are they, stepping from a 2-parent multi, 6-figure salary into poverty. They don't get to decide those things. So these kids in real life don't get to have these sorts of conversations. And I do think that there are multiple times in the show that the character Jason, who is the child, kind of Miranda, to your point about I'm breaking down feels very real. I feel like Jason's thoughts as a child written in this show are very real. And, what is a 12-year-old boy thinking about? He's thinking about which cute girls he wants to come to his bar mitzvah, and then has his own little breakdown and freak out. And, those, as a mom, those things happen. Those things are real. And it's beautiful to see them written in a very real way in this show. I am the mom that takes my kids to almost every single show that I can, no matter what.
And they want to keep coming back.
And they want to keep coming back, no matter what the subject matter. I did not bring my 7-year-old daughter to Pippin, just because there was a very flagrant...
Tastefully done.
Tastefully done.
Yeah.
Expertly directed.
Thank you, Eric.
Intimate scene that involved a parachute that was just...
And many people.
That was just spectacular.
Many people.
But I let both my kids see American Idiot, which involves sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and lots of drugs, and their mom with lots of drugs as Saint Jimmy. My kids went and saw Rent. I took my son to go see Evil Dead at the midnight show, which was shenanigans. But I think, again, to your point, there's this idea of theater gives you this buffer.
Yeah.
It's still fake, and for my kids, they know a lot of the people on stage, and and their mom. So it gets to open up these conversations in a really safe way that they may not open up to you about, and that's why I don't try to block my kids from anything. Let's have this. If this is something that you want to talk about, let's talk about it.
My mom was asking if my brother could come to this, who is turning 10 this year, and I remember I was kind of telling her, I was like, this is the content of it. If you're ready to answer the questions that he is inevitably going to have after, then 100% bring him. I say this word, so if you're okay with that, then for sure bring him. But it's he always wants to see all the shows, and it's always a conversation between me and my family, whether or not he should see it, because the Pippin thing,
Right.
Sometimes it's a lot, and he's 9, but sometimes I think it is a really good opportunity to learn.
I love this conversation just simply from my own personal experiences. I just remember as a kid, I was 6 or 7 the first time I saw Gypsy, and my parents were they were like, it's musical theater, why not? And I mean, and also my mother did Gypsy in high school back when that was
Oh boy.
an okay thing.
Pictures of that? 'Cause
I
need
will
see
have to
that.
look to see.
Yeah.
But Gypsy, I remember I watched Rent for the first time with my grandmother.
Yeah!
And I was 8 years old. So I love this conversation, and we've talked about this so many times on the podcast about, the appropriateness and understanding having those conversations.
Yeah,
So.
Eric, not to put you on the spot
Oh, boy.
here, I'm going to anyway. How old was I when we saw Avenue Q? That's the one show that you bring up that you're like, yeah, I think I missed the mark with this one.
I wasn't so worried about you, but your brother's
Kyle,
18
yeah.
months younger, and so I think he may have been 12, so you were probably 13, 14. Somewhere around there. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It may be worse. I hope not. But yeah, that was one where I was like,
Well,
maybe
I
shouldn't have done that.
remember you had us listen to the cast recording before we went. And I'm glad you did that, so we kind of knew what to expect.
Sure.
I think it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
You still are never really truly prepared for what you're about to see on the show.
You're really not.
My coworker said for her 12th birthday, her parents were like, "Do you want to go see this puppet show? You can bring a friend."
Oh, no.
And they went together, and it was like a similar situation. They had no idea. They watched the whole thing. They didn't leave. I was like,
I think my favorite thing that we've started doing, you know, certain shows will put like ratings on things, but our biggest conversation that we always say is, you know, if people ask us, what is the show rated? It's never it's rated this. It's here's the synopsis.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be.
Exactly. Take a moment and read. If you deem that it's appropriate for whoever you're bringing to the show, by all means, you
Right.
know.
And
Yeah.
Certain shows were in the framework of, you know, we need to give a rating for, but for the most part, it's always that recommendation of
We could
just,
do a whole. I could talk for
Yes.
hours on this,
Yeah.
even with movie ratings and stuff.
Yes.
But I just don't like the concept of ratings because every kid is different
Yep.
and every parent is different.
yes,
And
yeah.
for us as a society to be like, you're ready for this material when you're this age. I mean, I know we need something to go off of, but it's like with the internet now, like, look it up. Look up what the
Right.
material is, and you determine if your kid is ready for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
In our house, you know, a lot of it is just words are words, right? So, and, you know, pick any of the 4-letter words, my kids hear them very,
One kid
very
said 'em
frequently.
to me for sure in the
Well,
past.
I mean, welcome to having a teenager. You know, and so for me, that I don't care about, right? That has always been you are going to use words in ways that are appropriate to use words, and that has no bearing on intelligence or gravity of the situation. People are going to have relationships. We've always been open about like what relationships between two consenting adults incurs, right? That's something that is just that. Now, flagrant contact and relationship, you know, that
Even
that's sort
between puppets.
even between puppets. So, you know, and that's one thing. Like, I didn't care about my kids coming to American Idiot because that stuff. I mean, let's be real. You can drive downtown Baltimore, and there are people that are ODing
Yes.
in the middle of the sidewalk, right? Like, those are things that my kids have a strong element of possibly seeing in the real world. The first time we ever took Archer on a picnic, there was a guy that over in Patterson Park, a gentleman OD'd right in the middle of the park, right in front of us all, ambulance, all that stuff. So, like, for me, that is something that anybody of any age at any point in time can encounter. Knowing that people have relationships and that there is an element of physicality, I think, is something that, you know, kids see people kiss, kids see people hug, kids know that in healthy relationships comes physical contact. Now, do you expose them to just flagrant puppet
Simulated gestures.
simulated, right. Stuff like that? Do you show them a group project with a, you know, that involves a parachute? Maybe not. You know, maybe not.
Group project.
A group
With
project.
one person doing most of the work and everyone else
my God.
along for the ride.
It was one of my favorite group project scenes to view.
Miranda said, "Who wants to go first?" And I said, "If I go first, does that mean I get to leave first?" And she said, "I don't know. I did not get to leave."
I'm gonna circle us back.
I was just going to circle us back to falsettos, but
Yeah.
what I do love about falsettos and the relationships that these people have, because there's Marvin and Trina, and there's Mendel and Trina, and then there's, you know, the lesbians from next door, and then what I think it ends up showing is two same-sex couples that genuinely care about each other. They are not a caricature of a couple. And there is real love and real commitment
Yes.
to each other in those couplings. And I think anytime that you can show your children on stage like healthy relationships, I think that is absolutely something worth exposing them to.
I like that.
Agreed. Yeah.
I circled it back for you.
And Eric, I'll pass the baton to you in a second, but the sheltering your kids or trying to put them in a box is how you get people like Marvin,
Yeah.
right? Who do the right thing. They do the thing they're supposed to do, and then they end up blowing everything up because it's not their truth. And everyone gets hurt in the process. Like literally everyone, including him. And I think I just think it's so valuable in that respect of like creating this safe environment for dialogue and for people to figure out who they are so that maybe they don't have to go through this process of hurting all the people that they care about genuinely while they're trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
And Eric, you looked like you were going to say something as well.
Well, Katie, when you were talking about, I think you were talking about them being portrayed as real people. I think that was happening a minute ago. And I just wanted to put out there that when I saw this show in 1990, whatever it was, I had never seen in the arts, TV, film, I'd never seen a homosexual character portrayed as like a regular person. They were always the comic relief. They were the villain sometimes, maybe, but never just a regular person. Certainly never the star of the show.
Yep.
So, and I think that's definitely changed, which thank goodness it has. But I think the show's also just so well written that it's still very relevant today, just in kind of different ways than it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to take us, I have about 2 quick questions here to kind of wrap us up in our conversation. I really want to hear from you all, just, if you have like 5 words that would best either, describe Falsettos or might give people just a little bit of an idea as to what the show is about or what your character's impact in the show might be about or something like that. Do you all have like 5 words you could think of? It can be less than
Maybe
5
one
words.
word.
One. I don't want to limit us necessarily, but if you can do it in 1 word, even better. That's the prize. A couple words to describe.
Which,
Falsettos.
just for
5
any
words
listeners
total.
who don't know the show, I'm going to throw out the word funny because it's a really funny show
Yes.
and we haven't talked about that
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
It's super entertaining.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's a good time.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
It's quirky.
Quirky.
It's quirky because it has that funny element, but it's also so like heart-wrenching but warming.
Sure.
Like you are just roller coaster of emotions.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. There
Yeah.
you go. Roller coaster of emotions too. Yeah.
Quirky roller coaster of emotions.
There you go.
Ooh.
I like it.
Okay. Anyway,
Less than 5. Perfect.
right. Community.
Yeah.
It is a community piece. It is, there is a rallying component of it. And I think really just trying their best. And that's 5 words.
I like it. Do you have a word or two?
I
you wanna
have a
add?
word, and I also want to let you know I have a surprise question for the end.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Well, then we've got 2 extra questions.
Yes,
Okay.
but my word is genuine. I love that this show doesn't shy away from the difficult parts of life. And we talked about this, but a lot of times you don't see the difficult conversations being navigated with a kid involved. But like you said, Katie, that's reality.
Yes.
They don't get to choose their circumstances, and I think this show just does such a beautiful job of presenting truth to the audience, and then the audience can take what they want from it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think my word or statement would just, I've got 2 words, impassioned characters or passionate characters. I feel like even in their worst moments, these characters are very passionate about what's going on. They're very passionate in their emotions. They're passionate in their motivations. Everything that they're doing is just driven, you know, I don't want to say that they all have the best intentions at all times, but they're driven to do what they're doing, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that's very compelling to watch throughout the show. My last question, then Miranda's got I'm not going to say a fun one, but a question for the end. Why should people come see Falsettos?
Because it is it's not your typical show. It's it's really just a beautiful show, and you don't have to do anything but watch. You don't have to do anything but watch it.
I like that.
It's refreshing. I would say I just did Rock of Ages, which is a super like glittery, grandiose, big, dance-heavy show, which was super fun, and I love doing shows like that. But if you want something a little different and you just want to watch like raw talent and a couple of really talented, happy friends to do this together on stage for everyone, that is a good reason to come see it. I think that's a good enough reason to come see it. It's something different.
Something different. Okay.
I mean, it's my favorite show. It's just my favorite show. It's got a great story. It's got amazing kind of messages. The characters are all just beautifully imperfect, and the music is fantastic.
Yeah. It is an experience of a show. Like, I feel like like you said, Jordan, it really is nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's very much so its own thing. And if you're looking for, a compelling story and something that is really engaging for an audience, this is it. It has everything to it. It has everything.
Because it's a sung-through musical, but it's not like a sung-through musical that you've sat through before. Like
Exactly.
It's
Agreed.
totally different, yeah.
Totally.
It's a very different experience.
It's important. And this is what I say when I go on roller coasters that scare me. So it's good to do things that remind you that you're alive. And sometimes it's good to see stuff that challenges you and that reminds you that you're alive. It's part of the human experience. Seeing other stories, experiencing other people's truth. It's a good reminder that you're alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, do you want to wrap us up, Miranda, with our last
Yeah.
question?
What's been your favorite memory from rehearsals so far? And I have one. I'll start us off.
Okay.
Well, there's been a lot. It's really fun getting to work with a kid. So a lot of my memories are around his shenanigans. But just one of them was I had taken time off and I came in, and there were a bunch of we had this in the old podcast area, a bunch of stuffed animals and puppets laying on the floor in a line, and I sent a picture to Joel and I said, "What is this?" And he didn't respond, and then Eric walked in and I was like, "What's going on here?" And he goes, "That's the audience." Like, it was so obvious. Our child performer felt we needed an audience, so he went and he grabbed all of them and made an audience, and I thought that was like the cutest thing ever. And he was right, we did need an audience.
I'm a sucker for a good harmony.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, no, there and there have been. I don't know if I can pinpoint exactly one, but Jordan and I sing a lot together. I think it's there's an "I love you" that
For
you
Unlikely Lovers.
that you and I do. Yeah. And it's real pretty, and it doesn't hurt that I genuinely love you, and I love doing shows with you, and you and I have always gravitated towards one another, but it's that kind of special. makes that kind of special.
I was gonna say it was a music-driven moment for me as well, but it was actually during the read-through, because it was during that song I felt like everyone kind of like at one point really nailed the harmonies, and it was just the read-through, and we already knew this like. It might have been the same part.
It
I don't
might
know,
have
but
been,
I'm pretty certain it was the same song. And not to name drop, but Joel was getting a little emotional, and I was like, he recognizes that this is a good group, and I appreciate that. And I got a little choked up, but I cried everything, so it's like, there's no merit to that. But I was like, wow, this is going to be so good and so special, and I just feel like it was a really good start.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, absolutely.
Too many to single one out, but I will say that working with a child actor is a lot of fun. And our Jason is just, he's a hoot. I'll just say that I typically bring extra snacks now to rehearsals
Yes.
because he often requires them.
Yes.
Yeah. That kid came in guns a-blazing, like
Prepped and ready.
ready to go from the read through, like, and Miranda was like, wait until you see how well he does. And I was like, holy smokes.
He's great.
He's killing it.
Yeah, I'll say, Jordan, you kind of alluded to this. It's kind of become I don't want to say the joke, but like, it's a running gag. I don't cry very often, but usually one time during every rehearsal process, there's a moment where something happens, and I just am like, wow, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
You clutch your pearls.
I have a moment, and this rehearsal process has been very unique because you both are not in Act 1 of the show, and on top of that, Jordan, you were in Rock of Ages, and you were at rehearsals for Rock of Ages a lot for the early part of the rehearsal process. So there was one rehearsal, I want to say it's probably about a month ago now, or I've lost all track of time, but everybody was here. It was one of the rare rehearsals where everybody was here, and we did Days Like This. And I'm pretty confident, I mean, you all may, I think we were using, sometimes we use the soundtrack for the show, and I think we were using the soundtrack for the show, but you all were singing above the soundtrack. And like, you all just went for it, and I just was like, oh my gosh, we're only like 3 weeks into this process. And like, they sound great, and like seeing all of you in the same space together and like performing that number, I was like, this is gonna be great. And it just hits me, and it happens every show. It happens like once.
And then I'm like hot off the heels of Into the Woods,
Yes.
too, which
Oh
was like
my
its
God.
own
Yeah.
super emotional show.
Yeah, and it's moments like that where I'm reminded of like, this is why we do what we do, is because
Stays like this.
it stays like this, exactly, that we're reminded that, it's a healing and it's a powerful process for our audience, but it's also healing and important for us as creative individuals and performers and directors to really just take stock in like, it's a really important story, it's a really important activity that we do, and it's a reminder of how powerful community theater is, and that like we all come together as a group of people to tell this story, and it's a privilege getting to tell it with you all because you all are so talented, and it's such a powerful show. And I'm gonna start crying right now on the podcast, but
Do it.
Thank you for the outlet.
Get us the views. Joel.
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yes.
Show your feet.
Yeah.
Sharp left.
Oh my gosh, there it is. Exactly, but
Joel and I joke about that all the time.
yes, yeah. Great. All right. Anything else you wanted to add, Miranda, or anyone else wanted to add anything else before we
Just
wrap
that
up?
this has been a great conversation. We
Yes.
appreciate you all coming on, and
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
we get to rehearse
This
with
is
all
fun.
of you
You're welcome.
just like almost right now, like
Yeah.
right after we record this. So,
Literally.
but yeah, I feel like we don't say it enough, but it's a joy getting to work with all of you.
Yes.
And
We've got
Yeah.
so many big shows coming up that we hope that you all will come on and talk about as we get there. So
it's like we
many.
get to
You got my number.
work with our friends all the time. You know, it's just
Literally
the
the
best.
best, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things. I can name drop her now since she's been on the podcast. But Abby always says listening to this podcast is like listening to her friends just talk about random
Agreed.
things, and
It's
I love
comforting.
that.
Absolutely, I absolutely
Love that.
agree. I can when I listen to the podcast, I can see your guys' faces
Yes.
as you're talking. It's funny.
Literally.
Yeah, so that's very rewarding for
Yeah.
us. But
Well, y'all bring us joy.
Yes.
And thank you for that.
absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys.
Well,
All right.
Snarkies, next week we'll have more tea.
Oh yeah, little shop
Little
of
shop.
horrors.
It's piping
Little
hot.
shop tea.
Your little shop tea is coming up.
It's coming.
Yes.
All right, stay snarky, spill all the tea.
Yes. Alrighty, till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for getting snarky with us. We'll see you later.
See you next time.